astTECS, leading enterprise telecom brand.
Well, thank you very much, Firdausi. Thanks for the brief introduction. So with that, without much further ado, I would like to quickly move on to the main presentation on the webinar today. Before that, let me just share my screen so that the presentation can be seen by one and all. So is everybody able to see my screen now?
Yeah, please put it in the presentation.
Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good afternoon once again, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on this part of this monthly initiative taken by astTECS Communications to facilitate interaction with partners and customers alike to spread the benefits of owning an astTECS product. I consider it as an honor to be delivering today's webinar. The topic on offer today is basically 12 interesting features in astTECS IP PBX that adds value to any business. It is just to highlight these features, and there are many more features, of course, but we are trying to talk about some of the basic features that would be very useful and eye-catching for the customers. So at the end of this session, I hope I'll be able to highlight how versatile our product is and how these features, if brought out well to the customer, could add value to both partners as well as to astTECS. The astTECS IP PBX, needless to say, is a very versatile equipment. We all know that it's, in that particular genre, it has got some of the best features that are available. It's often felt that the features and contents therein are not being fully exploited, are used by our partners and customers. Only we sell the whole product based on hundreds of features, but then once the deployment is done, only about a handful of 3 or 4 of the main features are utilized. Most of the other features are actually pushed to the background, never to be even looked at again. It's a bit hard to digest because these features are very, very technically very advanced features and could really aid the customer in his advancement of businesses, right? So it's imperative that as an OEM, we highlight some of these key features to our partners and customer ecosystem. This would help in a long run to help us position the astTECS IP PBX on par with some of the best brands that are available in the market. Just to name a few of them, Avaya or Cisco. So we could actually give a good run for their money. This is a part we are hoping that armed with all these details, we will be able to penetrate the markets at a slightly higher level, because we don't want to make an entry at a lower level and then struggle to make our ends meet. So we want to actually enter at a higher level. So the profitability, the bottom line and top line for both the partners as well as for us as OEM will dramatically improve. That's what is the idea behind this particular webinar. Once the entry is done at a higher level, obviously half the job is done, then we can expect to be playing on a level playing field with most of these other so-called high brand competitors. The intention of this webinar is to highlight a dozen of these important features so that we do not end selling up astTECS a product as at a dime a dozen. So we don't want to sell it cheap. We want to actually sell it at a rate that is affordable and also justified in the market, right? So quickly move on to the most important features that we are going to be highlighting today in our webinar. The first one is the web-based operator console. We have the voice blasting solution, inbuilt audio conference, wipe minutes, how it can enhance customer business, web-based calling, public address system, CRM integration, how we can integrate different brands of CRM onto the IP PBX, automation in IVR, auto provisioning as a solution for faster deployment, video door phones, voicemail and voice loggers. And finally, we have some beautiful dashboards that we would like to end the webinar with. All right. As I move on to the main header for today, before that, I'd just like to give a small snippet about the evolution of PBX. Probably most of us know that Alexander Graham Bell invented telephony. This was done in the year 1876. Within 2 years of 1876, the first ever switchboard, a manual switchboard, was designed and it appeared in the scene. You could see a small picture of that to your right-hand side of the screen. It was a very manual device. A lot of operators, you can see a row of operators, maybe 20 of them sitting in a row, trying to put in those cables and connectors, join them and transfer calls. A very, very elaborate and circuitous process. And then came circa 1970, where the new private automatic branch exchange evolved, which was rich in features and functionality. So basically, the manual exchange was slowly giving up its space to a more automatic branch exchange. Calls could be reached to extensions without the influence or an aid from an operator. So calls could be routed directly to the extensions. Soon after that, we had the toll-free numbers that evolved and influenced a number of commercial ventures. So toll-free numbers, we all know how it adds value to the business. In 1990, saw the birth of IP PBX, first ever internet protocol-based IP PBX. Features like IVR, call forwarding, caller ID, and VoIP calling, all this and many more came into the fore. 2000, call center business bourgeois and caught on like big time fire. So especially the North American market and also in many of the Asian markets. And 2004, for the first ever time, vendors in the USA started started offering hosted or cloud-based voice or fax telephony solutions. The evolution continues. We will have to keep pace to catch up with what happens next, right? So with that, I quickly move on to the first list on our agenda today. So that is the web-based receptionist console. In the very initial stages, the earlier versions of the operator console was nothing more than a very chic-looking equipment that was placed on a reception desk, and it looked as beautiful as the operator may be. But it could do actually very little apart from looking good, because you could not get a lot of information from that particular device. However, the role of the receptionist came into greater focus with the passage of time, and a web-based receptionist console was designed. It was designed keeping in mind the needs of the organizations, because as organizations grew and developed, they wanted the operator or the receptionist to be much more versatile and be able to handle more traffic and more other office cores as well. So it had a large screen display. It was more like a computer screen. I'll quickly take you through the various color codes, etc. I'll talk to you about all those things in a little bit while. We'll show you a live demonstration of how the screen-based console actually operates. Okay. From the large display, the operator could actually see who is available. So who is available, who is not available, who is busy, who is in a meeting, and all those kind of information could be available. She could transfer a call directly to an extension, or to a voicemail, or to an external number. This was all done very easily. Ability to pick up ringing phones at any corner of the office. So the phone rings in any part of the office, the operator has a look at the screen and she knows which phone is ringing and she can pick it up from her nimble fingers. Manage and visualize parked calls. So anyone parking a call, just to get a reference or maybe consult with the manager or refer to a file. And if it's getting delayed, the operator could intervene and she could pick up the parked calls and keep engaging with the customer until the time the person comes back with the required information and get back to the customer. So that way you ensure that the image of the organization is intact and people are responded to pretty well. Real-time search and filter of extensions. If you have if you have a very huge office, hundreds and thousands of extensions, sometimes difficult to track down a particular person. So you could have a filter available there, and you could get onto the person whom you want in a jiffy without wasting much of your time. Now, this web-based receptionist console was designed for the receptionist, to the receptionist, and by receptionist, by taking proper feedbacks, of course, from the market requirement, things like that. But it turned out to be so versatile that we could also use it for extensions. So it was later on used for extensions as well. So you can see that extension users were also given this particular application on their desktop. So call notifications could pop up on their desktop. Who's the caller ID and name, etc. could pop up, and you could actually address your caller by the name, right? That's what we do in call center business or CRM business all the time. We could also integrate directories to the system, so you can do live search of all the people in the organization, and even across a network, or let's say international network, or within a country. You have multiple offices. You could search out any person sitting in any remote office and reach out to him without much ado. Call control, transfer out, hang up, and pick up. So all these basic functionalities of a PBX could be administered without much of an issue as such. Conference control. So once a conference is set up, you could lock the conference. That means you do not allow people to either drop out of the conference or join in the conference. You could invite people and make them join the conference. You could kick out people who are not required in the conference. Mute, talk detection, all these features could be activated much more simply. presence. So you know a person is available. If he's available, is he busy internally or is busy externally or is in a meeting? All that status can be viewed on the receptionist console. You also have instant messaging and notes which are integrated, very useful in day-to-day operations. Voicemail Explorer helps you to browse and hear voicemail from any browser. So you open a browser, type in your IP address of your voicemail, and you could listen to your messages. At this point, I just need to take a small deviation, and what I would like to do is I would like to show you a live demonstration of screen-based or web-based receptionist console. And I hope to be able to demonstrate the following features: how internal calls can be set up, how external calls can be set up, call transfer, blind and supervised options. And then we have a listen and an eavesdrop feature. That means you could actually listen to a conversation very stealthily and you know, just for quality purpose. If it's a call center, I'm just saying. And presence status, that means you know a person is available or not available, all that feature. And finally, we have a CDR solution. So I hope that you can bear with me before I jump on to the next screen. Please bear with me for a while, please. Is this particular screen available, seen by all of you, the new console screen? Can anybody see this?
Yes, yeah, Vijay.
Oh, great. Thanks, Virosi, for the confirmation. So here we have a large screen. You can see this is our Office PBX, and what I have done is actually I have shortlisted all the people who are staying, who are sitting in our floor, the sales floor as we call it as. So you can see the screen, which has got green and not so green, tabs. So the green ones are saying these extensions are active. The not so green or the gray tabs, I would say, are actually inactive. So that gives you the status. And I don't have a busy extension, but if an extension is busy, it'll actually turn yellow. So that's a color coding that we have used in our system. We can also see a number of logos on the top left-hand corner. If you can see, I'll just like take my mouse pad, and the first key is the dial key. The second was a blind transfer. The third one you see is a supervised transfer. Here is a transfer to a mailbox. I told you we can transfer a call either to an extension, to a mailbox, or an external number. So this can transfer a call to a mailbox. This one can transfer a call to a mobile or an external number. This one is the call pickup. So any extension ringing any corner of the office, you could pick it up by using this particular icon. Here is the listen tab. So you could stealthily listen to a conversation. You can also listen and whisper by using this particular tab. Finally, we have the hang up. So if you are finished with the call, you can hang up using this particular icon. And here we have the record key. So the operator wants to record a particular conversation on his or her own desktop. That can also be done. All right. So with that, quickly, I would like to just set up, request my esteemed colleagues, Manju and Amulya, to please help me with the small demonstration process. So I have my extension here listed at the top. My extension number is 6642, as I've highlighted on my screen. So I would like to make a call to my colleague, let's say Manju. Manju, I'm just going to call you, okay? I'll just dial his number, first of all. So I can filter. You can see a filter tab over there. I'll just put his number as 6622. That is the extension number that I have. I can see it over there. Okay. So, so you have all the list of numbers here. You can see that. And I have Amulya Das. I like to call Amulya Das first. I use that and then click on this call button. I call Amulya with that. So you see the Zopa app comes up. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amulya, I've called your number. Can you please pick it up? Hello?
Yeah, hi, Vijay.
Hi, Amulya. Thank you so much for picking up the call. So I'm just trying to demonstrate an internal call, how it is done. So what I did was I had to select Amulya's tab and then press on the dial button, and then the call was immediately set up with Amulya. So I have Amulya online. As I talk to him, I like to just effect a transfer call. Suppose, let's say I want to do a transfer of this particular call. So I don't see Manju here on the screen here right now. So probably I'll use someone else. Maybe I can use Bibin here. Bibin is from my team, so I'll just use his thing. So what I'll do is I'll select his number here, and I would like to transfer a blind transfer. So I'll do a blind transfer. That means without actually talking to him, I'll blindly transfer Amulya's call to Bipin right away. Hello. So you can see here, Amulya and Bipin are both talking to each other.
Yeah, Vijay.
And
Me and Bipin.
Yeah. So they're both talking to each other, and I can actually hang up. And hold on, I'd just like to hang up myself, so I can just hang up here. So they both are talking to each other. You can see both of them are yellow in color.
Yes.
So this is they both of them. Yeah. So this is a small demonstration of how blind transfer can be done. Thank you so much, gentlemen. If you can both disconnect, what I'll do next is I request Amulya to please call me back again. Hello, Amulya. Can you please call me back, Amulya?
Yeah.
So you can see the Zoiper rings up again. I pick up the call. And there it is, Amulya. Hi, Amulya, are you there?
Yeah, Vijay.
Thank you so much for calling back once again. So what I would like to do now is do a supervised transfer. That means I will actually call up another gentleman. Let me call up Mohammed Roshan here in this case. Mohammed, I'm just going to give you a call. Just be online. And what I will do is I will select his Mohammed Roshan's number here. It's highlighted in blue color. And then I will use the supervised transfer. That means I will actually talk to Mohammed before transferring the call to Amulya. All right. So here is this icon pretty pressed. Hi, Mohammed. Can you hear me? Nice to talk to you, Mohammed. I have Mr. Amulya Das who wants to talk to you. Just be on the line for a moment. I will disconnect myself and then I will transfer the call to you.
Yeah.
So are you both able to talk to each other?
Yes.
Great. Mohammed, you can just say hi, or you can just talk to Amulya.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that very much. So with that, you can both hang up, please.
Thank you.
Good. So we are back to the green color screen now. You can see that it was yellow, and now we are back to the green color screen. Next, I would like to just make an incoming call. For example, I will just make an incoming call. Maybe I could request Amulya Das to please help me with an incoming call. He can call me from his mobile on my extension number. Yeah, that is his mobile number. You can see that Amulya Das is calling me from his number 88674-73975. So I just answer this and pick up the call. Hi, Amulya, are you there? Hello.
Yeah.
Can you speak a bit louder, Amulya? Hello.
Yeah, Vijay.
Yeah, how are you, Amulya?
All good.
Great to hear from you. So this helped me to demonstrate how an incoming call can be set up. So thank you so much. You can please hang up.
Thank you. Yeah.
And could you please call up either Mohammed Roshan or Bipin on an internal call, so that I will just like to demonstrate eavesdrop feature or listen in feature.
Okay, I will call 6639.
Yeah, you could disconnect the mobile and make a call internally, please. Thank you. So Amulya Das is turning yellow now, and he's calling Mohammed Roshan in this case.
Hi, Roshan. Yeah.
They're both talking to each other. All right. So what I can do is I want to listen to their conversation. Normally, the operator is given the class of service to listen to the conversation. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll say listen, which is a listen icon on this desktop here. I click on that.
So how was
say, select Amulya and say listen.
Yeah, it was very well. So it was very productive.
Many features could not be.
So actually, I don't know if you guys can listen to it, but I can listen to Amulya Das what he's speaking. And if I want, I can just hang up again. And then I'll just hang it up. So
Vijay is working on that.
So he wouldn't actually know that I have eavesdropped on his phone, but it can be done very stealthily. Thank you, Amulya and Roshan, for that brief demonstration. After that, thanks a lot, gentlemen. Thank you so much. So here I have on the screen on the top part of my screen, you can see this available. You can see the available key, right? Can everybody see the available screen on my desktop?
Yes.
Great. So I have, so this is actually showing my status. So I've selected mine. So it says I am available right now. Now I can actually take a break. I've been working too hard, so I'm going to take a break. So what happens is it turns blue. So my screen here, you can see the icon here, it says a break. So people, before they call me, they would know that I'm in a break and they will not call me, okay? And then I am out for lunch. So if I say I'm out for lunch, it turns to another color, which is turquoise blue. And you can see turquoise blue over there. So this status is displayed to all the other extension users, so they could actually understand what I'm doing currently. So this is the color coding that we have used. I'll come back to available status. So I'm back to available status. People can call me back again. And last but not the least, I would just like to take you to the Cdr tab right at the bottom. So we exchanged a number of calls right now, right? In the last few seconds, we saw a number of calls being made by Amulya, Bibin, Roshan was there. So we can see quite a few of those calls here. For example, I see Amulya had called me some time back. There was another person who had called me from this particular number. So this gives you a missed call details or the history of all the calls that have come in, incoming as well as outgoing. You can see the call details here. So you could get a list of all that information. If there's a missed call, you could actually give them a call and talk back to them. So that was a very, very brief on how the web-based receptionist console actually operates and makes things life very easy for the receptionist as well as the administration in the organization. So with that, I'll quickly go back to my presentation so that, yeah. So I'm back to my presentation screen. Let me put it on presentation mode. So this is where we were. We took a break from this and went to the other screen. So I'm coming back to this. So the next particular important feature is the voice blasting solution, right? And what are the benefits? So voice blasting, many of you must be aware, most of you must be aware that it's a mass communication technique. SMS, short messaging solution, was used extensively for many years. People were sending out SMSs. That's getting a slightly outdated these days because people want kind of a live voice at the other end. So there's a method by means of which you can record a small piece of information and spread it across and blast it across to hundreds and thousands of customers across maybe a domain or maybe a small mufassil or a village or a particular district in a city, right? So so you could send out mass information. It allows to send automated voice messages to multitude of patrons. Record customer responses via DTMF. So you could actually ask a question of your customers and get a response, a simple response like press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. If your response is no, press 2. If your response is yes, press 1. So with that, you could actually get a feedback from your customers as well. You could also push this response onto a CRM. That means if you're maintaining a CRM solution, you could get this whole thing done, survey done, and push the information back into the CRM so that in future reference, you could come back and listen to these details whenever required. How does the voice blasting solution help? It is very cost effective. It also substitutes SMS, which is a kind of a docile way of communicating. Voice blasting is more live and people like to listen to voice messages. It is measurable because you know that you have sent out so many messages and what is the response from different customers. Increased feedback. So when the customer responds back through an IVR, it gives you a feedback, right? So it gives you all types of feedback. It improves your productivity. So that means you have a direct response from the market, and you could design your solution or your manufacturing scales according to the requirement that you have received from the market. It increases overall efficiency of the organization. Organization, as a result, becomes more profitable and are able to give a very confident facade to the outside world, right? Voice blasting solution can be available in 3 different formats. One is an on-premise server-based solution that is a very conventional type. We also provide cloud-based solutions, so we can do that. We have a full-fledged cloud based out of Germany for international customers and in India for national customers, domestic customers. We also have a software-based solution. That means the customer provides his or her own server, and we deploy the software onto that remotely, and we can do the complete installation of the voice blasting solution. Thank you so much. The number on the right-hand side top corner is indicating the number of features. This is the second feature that we have covered this afternoon. We then quickly move on to what is known as the inbuilt audio conference, which is the number 3 on the agenda today. All of you are familiar with audio conference. It's actually not exploited to the hilt because voice conference is available, all the legacy PBX. They are all manual conferences. That means they have a 4-party, 5-party conference or 8-party conference. People had to dial in all the people who are to be joining the conference, manually dial them and join to the conference. This is very elaborate, time consuming, and also wastage of time. I mean, people want to meet, do things faster these days. So obviously people are even cutting down on travel. So when they cut down on travels, they prefer to meet on the over the conference bridge. So it allows for cost control. So these are some of the benefits that conferencing facility offers. And how does astTECS pitch in with their solution? So astTECS has 2 types of solutions available for customers. One is a scheduled dial-in conference, and the second was a scheduled dial-out conference. Now, dial-in conference is we actually send out a notification to the list of participants in the conference and request them to join the conference at an appointed hour, and also issue a personal identification number. There's a PIN number which is also issued. That means this PIN number has to be entered in order to authenticate the particular participant. Now, this is a 2-step process. The customer first has to dial in the number, then press the PIN number. It can be made much more simpler by scheduling in our dial-out conference. In case of a dial-out conference, the IP PBX dials out all the numbers simultaneously, and all the customer has to do is use his index finger to press a 4-digit PIN, and that's all. He sits on his chair and just presses a 4-digit PIN and he joins the conference. Things are made much more simpler. On the left-hand side, you can see some of the dashboards that are available, local conferences, number of users logged in, what's the duration, all kinds of information can be derived, reports can be generated to keep a tab on the different conferences that have been set up. We then move on to another interesting feature. It's called the wipe minutes for international dialing. We all know how expensive it is to make international calls, also on a consistent basis when hundreds and thousands of calls are being made. At the end of the month, you actually end up with a huge bill on telephony. So in order to cut down on the cost on telephones, we use internet. Internet is used to make outgoing calls. We call it as the wipe minutes, wipe or voice over internet protocol. So internet is available across the globe, right? So you can actually reach out to every nook and corner of the world. So that's why we offer wipe calling minutes for A to Z countries to all our customers at very attractive prices. What I've seen that there's almost a 90% reduction in the costs because of wipe minutes. Flexible pulse rates, we can give you 30 seconds pulse rate of 1 minute or 60 seconds pulse rate, depending on what the customers want, or we could even customize that further if the requirement is slightly different. Apart from wipe minutes, we also offer toll-free numbers. Toll-free numbers are available for customers to use localized numbers in different countries. They all want a local presence. So obviously local toll-free numbers can be provided in each and every country. DID numbers are also available. Virtual numbers for companies can be provided. We also offer DID numbers so that we reach out to a pilot number. So you can publicize a pilot number instead of multiple numbers. So people will find it easier to remember your telephone number. Also, inbound and outbound channels can be in multiple channels. You could have simultaneously more than one channel available for making or receiving calls. So these are some of the interesting things that we offer in the wipe minutes for international dialing. Okay, so and just to give you a comparison, let's compare the traditional rates of a PRI call and a wipe call, right? A PRI call, it is noticed that the rate per call is almost 7 rupees, 7 rupees for Indian customers. That translates to about $0.09 in international terms. Apart from that, you also need a PRI line, which is going to add to your monthly expenses. The call rates are very, very high, as you can notice, and requires expensive hardware. If you do the same thing using wipe minutes, the rates are much more lower. So you can see it's almost 60 paise, that is 0.6 rupees for international call per minute, which translates to about 0.007. It's almost like a James Bondic number. 0.007 is the rate for international calls. You don't need a PRI call, so your monthly subscription on PRI is dropped. low rates for calling. Obviously, it's very low. I mean, some of the countries are ridiculously low, the prices. Requires expensive hardware as well. You need computers, you need the LAN, you need the internet access and all that stuff. Attractive prices, 90% cost saving on telephone calls. astTECS gives high definition voice calling experience at such low rates. That's one of the strengths that we have. It is compatible with both legacy and IP PBX systems. We can offer bespoke dialer solution for high volume international calls as well. So this is what is point number 4 on the agenda today. We complete that. Quickly move on to a similar feature which is called as web call integration. Web call integration is a very powerful solution that can be integrated to all the websites of customers, right? Customers want to facilitate their customers to call into them for in case of any help to make it more customer friendly, right? So they have a web calling feature. If you visit astTECS website, you can see a small logo, right? What you can see here at the bottom right-hand corner, it says "Let's Talk." So you can click on that. You can be in any part of the world, and if you're accessing astTECS website, you could click on that particular icon. You will be connected instantaneously to one of the agents in our office. Our office is open 24/7 because we strictly offer 24/7 support to our international customers or domestic customers. So you could give this facility, customers feel very happy. Why is this feature required? This is kind of replacing toll-free numbers. This is also ensuring that customers are making important decisions at any point in time, at different time zones. So if they want a particular information, they can get it very quickly. They can get it very quickly, even if they at no expense at all. So actually, customer is not going to pay for this call. This call is routed through the VoIP minutes, which I just spoke about, and it's free of cost for the customer. We at astTECS pay for this particular call of the customer. So this is just to ensure that our commitment to the customers is visible. People can realize how committed astTECS is towards achieving customer satisfaction. And we hope that more and more customers will be able to exploit this particular feature. And we can deploy such facilities for some of our customers who want to put it on their website. How does this feature work? So you have a customer sitting on a computer and he visits our website and he sees that icon, "Let's Talk." So he clicks to talk. Once he does that, astTECS widget gets opened up, and then through that a call is initiated to our office through the VoIP minutes, and an agent sitting there is able to receive the call and answer his question then and there. So easy solution for complicated problems. And then further to that, we also have some of the other unique features on the web calling feature, right? You can actually embed this logo on your email signature. You embed it on your email, and the emails reach out to customer. Customer wants to talk to you. He doesn't have to pick up your number and dial a number and things like that. He can just click on that embedded logo on the email and reach out to you immediately. You can also reach out to customers. Customers can reach out to you using a QR code from a smartphone. So that's another advantage that they have. You can integrate a voicemail facility. If you're not able to receive a call or take a call at a particular time, you can be sent to a voicemail. This particular feature substitutes toll-free number. Toll-free number was very useful and very popular in the earlier days. These days, it's getting a bit expensive with the PR alliance and things like that. So with VoIP minutes and this particular web calling feature, you can replace toll-free numbers straight away. You can integrate the web calling trunk as one of the trunks in your PBX. So you have the PRA trunk, you have the SIP trunk. You can also add in the web calling trunk. So you have another channel to reach out to customers or customers to reach out to you. You can transfer the call and do all the regular features of the PBX. You can enable an IVR. So an IVR message will guide you. Voice recording for compliance. You can record all the conversations, and DTMS support if you encounter an IVR at any point in time. That was feature number 5 for us this afternoon. Then we move on to public address system. You must be wondering, what is this public address system doing over here? Just to let you know, public address system, or paging as they used to call it, has been in existence for about 20-30 years now in the market. In the olden days, people used to use powerful amplifiers connected to electrical speakers. So they used to use electrical cabling to internetwork all these gadgets. So they had speakers running across all their entire organization. They had powerful amplifiers, and they use high wattage electrical cables to connect all these. You might be wondering, how do we interface old type of analog paging system onto a PBX? So we have a solution for that. So whether it is analog paging system or latest IP-based paging solution, we can integrate both of them to our astTECS IP PBX. So you can upgrade your customer who is using analog IP paging system by introducing a small device, which is an IP to analog converter device. Just before the amplifier, you can see a small device there that can be connected to the local area network or a wide area network, and that in turn will be connected to the astTECS server. So you can integrate an analog paging system to our IP PBX, right? So that's a good solution we offer for existing customers who are using legacy solutions in their premise. What we offer now is we don't offer the analog paging systems to our customers. If they want to still use it, they're free to use it. But what we offer right now is an IP-based paging solution. That means the speakers, the electrical speakers are replaced by IP speakers. You have a Cat6 cable running to them. You don't have powerful amplifiers anymore. We have a astTECS server, which has got all these RJ45 ports, the IP ports, all these IP speakers are connected as an extension to the PBX. And these are again connected back to the main server using a LAN or a WAN network. So the advantage is that astTECS PBX supports both analog or IP or fiber optic interface. So depending on what the customer wants to use. And on the right-hand side, you can see a small device. It's an IP phone with a gooseneck mic there. And you can see this can be used as a paging instrument. You could page from any extension for that matter, but you could use a phone like this, which is more fancy. It's got a gooseneck mic, and you can still page from either. You can do paging for zone-wise. You can select zone-wise, or you can do organization-wise. The complete announcement can be done. Thank you. Now, the next feature that we move on to is the CRM integration. Very important because these days customer database is piling up so much and people are maintaining extensive CRM solutions in their premises. So we can integrate all these so that we could achieve features like click to call and call pop-up, and all those kind of features can be achieved. So we have successfully integrated different types of CRM solutions. Some of the very popular ones, some of the not so popular ones like Zoho is very popular, of course, Salesforce, LeafSquare, Sugar CRM, vTiger. Some of the not so popular ones like Inbuilt and Nitty Apps. So we could do all these, and all we need is basically an API interface. Any kind of CRM solution can be integrated to our IP PBX system. I next move on to what is known as an IVR. I mean, it needs no introduction as such. IVR is used extensively in our system. It's built in, free of cost. So most of the features here are available free of cost, except for some of them. So it's just our responsibility to brief the customers so that they know that these are all inbuilt at no extra cost. And how does it finally tally up as cost to feature benefit to the customer? Different types of IVR are available. We are aware of that. Inbound and outbound IVRs, premise-based or cloud or hosted IVRs, transactional IVRs, and feedback or survey IVRs. So customers always want more for less, right? They want to pay less and get more features. So they want an IVR solution that can also include automation. So astTECS was very fortunate to kind of do a beautiful automation for an IVR for one of the reputed hospitals called Nimhans. It is based out of India here. And done the complete automation of their appointment booking solution. So initially it was a manual solution they had. People called in and had to be given manual appointments and things like that. So we did away with all that. We came up with a fully automated IVR solution. So they used the PRI line. So they classified the patients as existing patients or new patients, or based on that, they could actually work out on the call flow. So once the patient calls into the IVR, they get preference for language. So in our case, we set up 3 different languages which are local to Indian dialects. In case of international markets, we could program it. You could have more than 3 as well, or less than 3, depending on what they want. So if you select English, for example, so then you're led to you're asked whether it's a first-time registration. Are you a new patient, or is it a follow-up appointment for an existing patient? And option 3 is basically, are you looking for a radiology service? So that means you're looking for an X-ray or a scanning solution. Now, if it's a first-time registration patient, for example, it's a new patient, then he's asked to enter a valid mobile number. So his valid mobile number is entered, and he's asked to reconfirm that number. So once he reconfirms that mobile number, then he's asked whether he wants a telescreening or a walk-in screening. If it is telescreening, somebody will call him on his phone and check what exactly is the issue, and then give him an appointment. Or he wants a walk-in screening, or if he's been a referral patient, that means some other doctor has referred to him and he's coming to the hospital. So based on that, his appointment is scheduled, and an SMS automatically is sent to the customer's mobile number, and the whole thing is again automated. Now, the next step is for an existing patient follow-up appointment. In that case, they are having what is known as a P number. P stands for psychiatry here. N number is a neurology, or they have a UHID. UHID could be a combination of P and N, or could be some other, it's called as a unique hospital ID number. So he has to, the patient has to enter whether it's a P number or N number or UHID. Once that is done away with, then you're supposed to authenticate. So what happens, the system sends the whole information to the e-hospital system, which is the database, and the e-hospital system is the place where his previous records are checked automatically without human intervention. And then if it is okay, then the customer is asked to enter his mobile number. That is again re-authenticated by the hospital management system. And then finally, everything is okay, then an appointment SMS is sent to the customer so that he can visit the hospital at that particular time and meet the particular doctor. Then we have the option 3 for radiology services. Then he's asked to press 1 for reports, 2 for scanning instructions, I'm sorry. If it is 1, then again, he's asked to press the P number, N number, or the UHID number. And then if it's authenticated, then again, a message is sent, and then he's given a slot for the reports. Or scanning instruction, the customer wanted a small message to be played, and that's how we designed it. So we see that we could do a lot of automation. So this is something that can be a customized solution. We have a standard IVR that is built in, but any amount of customization can also be achieved for customers. Auto provisioning is the point number 9 for today in the agenda. So auto provisioning especially is useful when you are doing a large scale deployment, let's say hundreds and thousands of extensions for a huge organization. It is very difficult to imagine sending a service engineer to, let's say, 500 extensions and connecting an in-terminal device and programming it for the required class of service. It's a very Herculean task. So what can be done is, it's called as auto provisioning, whereby you collect the MAC addresses of the end-terminal devices, what you're going to deploy, and then you assign an IP address to each of these extensions and map the IP address and the MAC address, and you provide the class of service that is required, that has been assigned by maybe the admin team or whoever, and you can push in all this data through the LAN network or the WAN network to the different IP to the locations, and connect the phone. So once the phone is connected, the phone is ready to work according to what is required, whatever class of service that was assigned or needed to be assigned to that particular extension, and it's good to go. So we don't have elaborate installations which goes on for days together. So we can just do this in a simple manner. Very important feature. Not much of thought has been given to this, but I think this is very, very important for customers who are especially doing large-scale deployments, hundreds and thousands of extensions. Door video phone can be integrated. Very simple. It acts as a video IP phone basically. So it helps regulate visitors at your desktop, at your doorstep. You can integrate this to the astTECS IP PBX to provide security at. So these days, when security levels need to be at a higher level, this could be very useful for you to tell to your customers. Inbuilt voice logger and voicemail are combined, both the features. This is available free of cost in our server-based solutions. So this is interoperable with any legacy PBX or IP PBX solution. We should always talk about this because all our hard disks come with 1 TB hard disk and maybe 500 GB hard disk, depending on the size that you take, or sometimes even higher than that. So multi-format recording is available, and all extensions can be provided with the voicemail, and voicemails can also be sent as an attachment via an email to the customers, so that if they're not in the office, it can be received on their laptop or on their mobile phone. They can listen to these voicemail messages. Good to have features. And finally, we have some beautiful dashboards that are there to decorate your screen. It gives you a lot of information. It's readily accessible from a web browser from anywhere. You don't have to be sitting in the office. You could sit in your remote office somewhere and still access all these details. You can see the colorful web, the browser dashboard that gives you the call time distribution, incoming and outgoing call details, call disposition status, top most incoming calls, top 3 most incoming calls or outgoing calls, all these, and how much of the resources were used in terms of CPU load, RAM load, etc., etc. With that, I conclude my presentation on for today. If any questions and answers, we'll be happy to take it up. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Vijay, for such a wonderful presentations. Now we can move on to question and answer sessions. So, Mr. Vijay, you can take it down the presentations as of now, so that we can start attending the questions one by one. And before starting it, again, just a reminder, if you have any questions or query regarding our product snippets or presentations or the IP PBX, please raise your hand or unmute yourself, or you can come on the video and then you can ask your query. Our team will be attending the question itself. So move on to the first question. I think this question is pertaining to our product snippets. The first question has come from Mr. Bauchi Mansa. His question is, can we export the report from SCRM? I think, Pratik, this question is pertaining to you.
Definitely, Mr. Mansha, you can export the report in Excel format, in CSV format. You can automate the report when you want into your email. So whichever way you want, you can do that.
Okay, thank you, Pratik. I hope, Mr. Bauchi, your query has been answered. Moving on to the second question. The second question is from Mr. Kuzi. Does it capture a voice ticket as in voice recording? This is his first question.
Yeah, it has been answered already. Thank you.
Okay, and are the visualized PAC calls on the PC or a phone screen? I think this question is again his second question.
Can you please share recording of phone? So what is the question? Sorry, I didn't get the question.
The first question is, I think this is again for the ticketing system.
Oh, ticketing system. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it capture the voice ticket as in voice recording? And his second question is, are visualized PAC calls on the PC or a phone screen?
I think if you can come, Mr. Jose, if you can come and explain what was the question is about.
No, for the okay.
Go ahead, Pujay.
Yeah, the question has been answered already. It's very clear.
Okay, you got the answer.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Pujay. So move on to the third questions. The third question is from Mr. Vinit. Can you please share the recording for the information? Surely, we will be sharing the webinar recording after the presentations. We'll be share the link over the mail itself. I think again, next question is again for Mr. Kujay. Can the call recording be automatic as well? I think the question is already been answered.
Yeah, the call recording can be automatic. Is a default feature in the PBX. It can be automatic, not a problem.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah. The next question is from Mr. Dilesh. Can you please share the documents on these recording for this? Sure, Mr. Dilesh, we'll share you the presentations.
One question from Mr. Kuze. It says, can you do a silent intrusion on an active conversation? I think I demonstrated that, Mr. Kuze. If you notice, I intruded on a call between Amulya and Roshan. They were not aware of my intrusion at all. So it was a silent intrusion. You could also whisper if you require. There's an option to whisper to Amulya. I didn't push that option, but you could do a silent intrusion. No problem.
Yeah, the question came earlier. That was thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
I think his next question from Mr. Kuji is, what is the maximum number of participants in the audio conference?
Oh, number of participants. Okay. Actually, that's one thing I should have told. The number of people, there's actually no limitation, because what happens is it all limited by the number of trunks, right? Like if you're using 100 line PBX for that, for example, and if you have one PRI line which supports about 30 incoming or outgoing calls, all 30 of them can join the conference, and the remain could be 70 from the internal extensions. So actually, there's no limitation on number of people who can join a conference, or you could have multiple numbers of smaller groups, maybe 5-party, 10-party, 20-party groups. You could still have multiple such conferences that simultaneously being held. Not a problem.
Yeah, I think his next question is, how can we have more than a group in a system? In a conference.
Okay.
Oh, that has been answered. Yeah.
Yeah, I just answered that question as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The next question is from Mr. Akintunde. The eavesdropping feature, is it an account or only a receptionist account? Can it disable or enable for privacy concern?
Sorry, hold on.
The eavesdropping
feature, okay.
Yeah. Is it a accounts? It is on the accounts or on the receptionist account, or can we disable or enable for a privacy concern?
I think we can disable it. I mean, it's available as a feature in the system, but if the customers don't want to use it, we can disable it. Somebody can confirm that. Yeah, but I think we can disable it. It can be disabled if not required. Yes.
We can disable that. And see, it is a supervisor part. We also call it as receptionist console. Who has the access? They will have this feature of eavesdropping, or we call it as listening or whisper.
Okay.
Kitunde, I think that is clear, right? If you're there, you can say yes to us.
Yes, I just want to confirm if it can be enabled by an administrator accounts or disabled. It won't be available for all users. That feature will not be available for all users.
No, it will not be available for all the users. Kitunde, is it clear? It is not available, and it can be disabled.
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, it can be disabled from the backend, from the admin side.
So this feature is basically available on the web-based receptionist console. If you don't want to use it, we can disable it. If you want to use it, we can enable it.
Okay, I hope Mr. Akintunde, your query has been answered. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The next question is again from Mr. Kunje. Does the VoIP call integration need a SBC gateway, or can we integrate it directly?
As I explained, the VoIP calling is basically a voice over internet protocol. So we are using the internet to make those outgoing calls, VoIP minutes. So according to me, we don't need an SBC gateway, but maybe Mr. Binish can clarify and confirm on that.
Okay. Yeah. I think Kunje.
The question is just VoIP call integration is SBC gateway. Maybe it's not required. We can directly configure the VoIP about a system or a VoIP over. But can you hear me? Hello.
Is background voice?
Yeah, just hold on a moment. I think there's a disconnection from Binish's side.
I can't hear actually.
Yeah. Hi, Amulya, if you can address the same questions.
Yeah, according to me, we don't need an SBC gateway for this, for VoIP call integration. It's,
that's clear.
As simple as that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
How much does all these features cost to the customer?
Yes.
Well, many of these features are inbuilt as free of cost in the system. Some of the features, for example, web calling, then VoIP calling, all those are special features that involve a particular cost. We can share the pricing for those separately. Maybe we can put a small slide, say which are the features that are built in, which are not built
exactly.
in, and we can share the cost for you separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we can connect with after the presentations
After
with
the
the concerned
presentation,
person, then
yes.
we will be briefing on the inbuilt and the add-on features.
Yes.
Okay.
Hope that SBC question is answered, right? In between, I lost in the woods.
Maybe Abhinesh, you can repeat it the same.
Yeah, repeat that, please. Yep.
Okay. So, Kunjay, that regarding to your connecting the VoIP to the PBX, technically yes, we don't require SBCs, but there are bigger enterprises using SBCs, so there is a special purpose. See, if you are assume that you are having an IP PBX and your users are within your network, right? Then no problem. The SBCs are not required, but you have users who wants to connect from outside. I think, is it echoing? Is it clear? My voice is clear?
Yeah, very clear. Yes.
Yes, finish.
Yeah. If you want the remote people to connect or a work from home, or people wanted to connect the PBX from outside and use the facilities, then we have to enable the SBCs. So yeah, so you can have it SBC for more secure configuration. Otherwise, system also can work without SBC.
Yeah, thank you for your explanation. You know why I asked? There are some there are instances where you like to integrate this particular PBX to some other vendor manufacturers. So their interface runs on E1, not IP. So they integrate. Yeah. So with that, we need the SBC gateway to integrate for numbering translation.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about integrating with an existing PBX,
Yes.
which is using a PRI.
E1, exactly, PRI.
Okay, so again to our so good question. So the point is that our IP PBX can be integrated with any third-party PBX on two levels. SBC is not mandatory for that. If it is an even line which they are using, we can do an even integration where we give our IP PBX with even options, 1 or 2 port or 4 port or 3 port, whatever it is. Then through that we will do an integration. Maybe the architecture can be discussed at a later stage. So we can discuss over an even, or we can do a SIP integration, right? The provided that the PBX which we want to integrate has got SIP license available with that. So then we can do a SIP to SIP integrations. Yeah. SBC is not mandatory. So SBC is required when you wanted to connect the public, when you want to connect the PBX to a public network and give access outside your network, then the SBC is more recommended.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Very well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Binesh. Okay, we can move to the next questions. The next question is from Mr. Vishal Modi. He said, can you provide more knowledge sharing for QR code, QR based calling to astTECS?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this one is based on the, web calling feature that I presented. So there is an option I said that you could actually scan a QR code and make a call to astTECS or any company, right? So it's based on that QR code that is generated for that particular number. So how exactly the QR code is generated, I wouldn't be privy to that information. Maybe someone from the technical side could elaborate, but you just scan on the QR code that is appearing on the next to the calling and then next to the web calling feature. And once you scan that, your call is automatically generated from your mobile to astTECS.
My particular question is whether new QR is required for every number, or basically we have multiple number integrated with IP PBX. So every time multiple QR will be required for every number, or a single QR will be okay for IVR system, for IP PBX systems?
Okay. Hi Vishal, Binish here. Okay, so here we are referring to the QR code has nothing to do with the numbers. Okay,
Yeah.
So this is a parallel to your numbers actually. See the QR code. He was explaining there is something called now the Webrtc calling, right? Where you can initiate a call over a web, okay, internet, right? A typical VoIP call you can initiate. See earlier if you wanted to call, for example, let us take WhatsApp. So when I call a WhatsApp call, it's an IP call, but what happens? The other person also should have an app installed, right? The WhatsApp app has to be installed. Okay. Yes. The same way the Skype. If I am calling a Skype person, other Skype guy, so I am calling a Skype to Skype. There is two apps. But now we don't require those apps. There is something called Webrtc where the voice can travel over a web. That simply means you just go to our website. Okay. So in that website, there is a talk now, right? Or click to talk, you will be there. Any website, if we enable that. So once you click on that, from that website, you don't have to download anything. You can just talk like, okay, exactly the Zoom, how we are talking. See, in the Zoom, we are talking over a browser, right? The same way, a browser call will be initiated to the PBX, and PBX, it lands to the extensions. Okay. So that is what Webrtc or web call means. Now this web call can be embedded at multiple places. This can be embedded on your email signature, click to call. This also can be converted into a QR code and can be pasted at multiple places. Then what happens when you scan the QR code? Automatically a web call will be initiated and call will land to the endpoints, like it can be an IP PBX ideally, or a call center solution. The call can land. So actually you have the traditional telephone lines, PRI lines, and this web call will act as a third channel for you and a backup channel. It has nothing to do with any physical any telephone numbers.
Okay, my question is, I have integrated 5 mobile numbers to IPBX. So
yes,
I will require all 5 QR for all 5 different numbers, or a single QR will be okay for.
Okay, so this numbers will remain as it is. This numbers will remain as it is.
Finish. 1 minute.
Yeah.
See, I think what he's saying is, you want to have a different set of calling, like a multiple group calling. Okay, so if you say 5 people, okay, each belongs to one department or a group. Okay, you have to generate a QR code for each group. Okay, the destination number changes every time. So based on that, you have to generate a QR code and then you can use it.
Oh, I understood. Okay, then you need to have individual QR code. So you mean this mobile numbers as a destination number, then you need multiple QR codes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, we move to the next question. The next question is from Mr. Bauchi. He is asking which of these new 12 features which are free and which are not free.
Yeah, I think that is something which we have to list out separately. We will have to make a small differentiation, maybe a spread note on that, and then pass it on. At least from my memory, I can say that the web calling feature, the VoIP calling, maybe automation in IVR, those are not standard features. Those are at additional cost. I just have to go through that again, and maybe we can connect offline.
Yeah, maybe Vijay, let me add a little more clarity, Kunjit. So by default, these features are free available, but there will be a usage cost. For example, VoIP minutes. See, VoIP minutes by default you can configure; it is available, but the VoIP minutes usage charges will be there, right? So, for example, you wanted to using VoIP, you wanted to make calls to US, or you wanted to configure a US DID, or you want to have US channels, inbound channels. So there are subscription charges for that. We can share those charges later. The same way, web call, which we are mentioning, web call by default as a feature is available, but to activate this web call, you have to activate the channels. So there will be a usage cost for, I think, other features I don't see. I think only these 2 features, there will be a usage cost. Otherwise, call recording, call monitoring, I think, IVR, all these features are by default.
Okay, I hope Mr. Bauchi, your query has been answered. We'll move to the second question. This is from Mr. Hai. From Mr. Hai, he would like to know more on the video conferencing solutions on the premise.
Okay.
Come again.
Yeah, he's looking for the video conferencing solution that we have on-premise solution. So yeah, I think what we have is a server-based solution which can be deployed on-premise. So we can share more information. Maybe I'll send you some brochures which you can review. We have different configurations on these video conferencing systems. We actually supply the basic server solution, and you could buy the screen and other things locally from your end. We can share details on that via email after the call.
Okay. The next question is from Mr. Chibu Tutu, Dominic. All the features are embedded in one PBX box by default, or you can add them based on the customer requirements? I hope the question is clear.
Yeah, yeah, the question is clear. Who has asked that question?
Mr.
Chibu Tutu.
Yeah,
Dominic.
Yeah. Hi, Shibu. So yes, these features are by default available. But as I mentioned, if you wanted to use few of the features, there will be certain subscription charges, that you may have to pay. Otherwise, all these features are available by default. See, because as Vijay also has mentioned initially, our solutions are based on open source platforms. So there is no licensing cost for any of the features, right? See, when we say call recording, if you buy 1,000 extension IP PBX, all the 1,000 users will have call recording by default. But it is up to the customer's choice whether he has to use this call recording or not. But this feature as a feature will be available by default without any additional cost. Is that clear?
Mr. Shibu, if you are online, you can unmute if you have any further queries.
Okay, I think that clarifies maybe.
Yeah. The next question is for Mr. Isaac.
There's a question from Nilesh, I think, after that. There's a Nilesh Dukhande. Can this gateway integrated with GSM and CRM?
Yeah, that's a question from Mr. Nilesh.
What is the question?
Can this gateway integrated with GSM and the CRM?
Which gateway is referring to?
Yeah, not very clear. Mr. Nilesh, if you are online, you can unmute and give a brief on your question.
Nilesh, can you give little more detail about your question? You can come online, please. We can have an interactive session. Please come online. Nilesh, you are there? Okay, so I think he's referring to gateway. Is it SBC gateway or something like that?
Not actually mentioned.
Maybe he's talking about the server. Maybe I think PBX server. I don't know. Not sure actually.
Okay, so Nilesh, please get back to us. Then we can clarify your query.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Binesh. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe Binesh. Maybe if he is not able to speak, maybe we can say the particular gateway. What Vijay was talking about is IP PBX. The 12 features what we were talking about. IP PBX, yes, of course, it can be integrated with the GSM and the CRM. Maybe we can say to him. So, and probably other people also can be able to understand that we can be able to integrate GSM, we can be able to integrate CRM, we can be able to integrate with the PRI, SIP trunk, and VoIP trunk. All the things are possible.
And PMS, if they want property management system, we can do all that.
Yes.
Yes.
If it is anything else, maybe anybody can, particular thing referring, then maybe please leave a question here. Probably we can answer that also.
Okay. Thank you, Manju. Next question is coming from Mr. Akin Tunde again. All these features explained available on the existing hardware. I think this is
yes, it is available.
Yeah.
Yes, it is available. Yes, it is available. As mentioned, there can be, for example, I'm repeatedly telling so that we should not carry the wrong information. These features are available by default. There is no additional licensing cost as such, but there will be a usage cost and there can be some integration cost. For example, Vijay was explaining IVR automation, right? So you can do automation through IVR for multiple industries, multiple type of business. When this automation comes, we need to do some customization by integrating IVR with a third-party database. It can be a CRM, it can be a banking database, anything. So such extra effort, there may be a customization cost or a usage cost or a subscription cost. Otherwise, the feature is by default available.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, if I may ask more questions.
Yes.
Okay, based on the hardware that was installed in my premise, the documentations were not there. So I want to actually confirm if it can do, if it has a fiber connectivity that can be used for an FTTH environment. And also I want to confirm if this hardware can be if there is a soft application, maybe like a cloud solution instead of the hardware, or just to confirm if there are a cloud solution, then the kind of support, what kind of support do you have for someone who wants to integrate external systems like CRM and all that?
Okay, I think Akitunde, I think there are many questions in that one question. I think we have to bifurcate it. One I understood is that integrating with CRM. Yes, we can integrate with CRM, multiple CRMs. If you go to Soho website itself, you can see astTECS as their Soho integration, PBX integration partner. So we can integrate Soho, MS Dynamics, Salesforce, all the CRMs. There are multiple scope of integration. If we discuss that here, maybe take longer time. So click to call, inbound pop-up. There are multiple levels of integration which we can do. Yes, we can do integrations. I didn't understand your other points. You mentioned some fiber. What is it?
I think he's referring something on the cloud solution.
Let him explain. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, actually, the questions are two. Okay, let me advocate further. The hardware that you have, I would like to have more information about it, especially how to connect it, the fiber. During the course of the presentation, you mentioned a fiber interface, IP interface, and E1 interface. So I would like to probably
fiber. You mean by fiber? Is it a SIP trunk or a VoIP?
It's a VoIP.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so probably maybe I will request to have a better documentation of the products after this session.
Ankitunda, I think we will provide you. I think you also mentioned you have a box. You have some solution from ours with you now?
We have a box, but the documentation are not available. So,
okay. Is it an IP PBX? Is it an IP PBX or a call center? What is it?
It's actually like an IP PBX hardware equipment. Yes.
Okay, so we will get back to you. We will get back to you to guide you with the installation process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. The second question is again from Mr. Bauchi. Can you upgrade your astTECS system to have these new features?
Yeah.
We can upgrade the system, of course. See, as I mentioned, these features are available, but we do upgradations as new features comes in. We develop new features, or the new versions are getting released. Based on that, we do the upgradations.
Yeah. Next question is from Mr. Shibututu again. He's saying, what is the capacity of the voice logger?
Voice logger.
Yeah, and can it be archived by network?
Yeah, I think I answered this question indirectly during my webinar. I said the smaller system have a hard disk capacity of about 500 GB. Some of the larger systems have a 1 TB and still bigger than maybe we have about 2 or 3 GB through 2 or 3 TB storage in our system. So the whole recording is directly proportional to the storage space in the system. So and once if the recording space gets over, you could always empty the space and pass on to an external storage and free up some more space in the system itself.
Yeah. So he also asked, I think, archiving the
via the network.
Yeah. So we have multiple backup mechanisms. Automatically, we can back up those voice files to external storage on the cloud or on premise. Through a automated scripting program, so it can be automatically archived as well.
I hope Mr. Shibu, your question has been answered. Yes. Yeah. The next question is coming from Mr. Isaac. Is about health. Please, is your IP PBX has a code
he's asked on
system.
behalf of Eben from Getters. It's
No, Vijay, I think he's asked from the Code Blue system integrated for the IP PBX healthcare solutions.
Correct. I think that's Eben is asked that question on, and Isaac is front-ended it. So I think this is Code Blue integration is possible. I think we have discussed this with Eben earlier also, that we can integrate Code Blue solution, Code Blue or Code Trade or whatever is the requirement from the customer that can be integrated to our server-based IP PBX systems. Yes, we can do that.
Okay, all right.
Again from Mr. Shibututu, does your PBX comes with an annual support cost, and how often is your upgradations happen, and what is the cost of it?
Yeah, Shibu, I think all our IP PBX, we are specifically talking about IP PBX. It comes with when you purchase, it comes with 1 year SLA AMC free. After that, it has to be renewed. So we have different SLA plans like Platinum, Gold, and Basic. All these plans will have different features. Your another question is that how often is your upgrade? So if you are a Platinum customer, yes, at least once in a year we do an upgrade based on the availability of new release or new versions, free of cost. But if you are in any other SLA format like Gold and Basic, there will be a effort cost for the upgradation. So hope that clarifies.
Yes.
I think
here's another question also.
Yeah, he has another question, that is a voice logging solution. Does it came a separate solution or can be accessed via network?
Yeah, it can be. The thing it can be a separate solution. If we have an inbuilt voice logging, of course, then apart from that, we can also do an external voice logger. The other thing I think I mentioned during my presentation is that even third-party PBXs can be integrated to our voice logger solution. So yes, for all the three questions from your side.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Imonia Noazota. He's saying, kindly confirm the web calling or a VoIP minute. Does it available for all the countries for international calls?
Yes, Emione, yes, the web calling, so web calling, there is no restrictions as such, but there are some countries where the VoIP itself is blocked. Now, maybe for example, UAE. So then there will be a challenge for a web calling. They will block, see in UAE and all, even WhatsApp calls get blocked. So in such places, web calling will have a challenge. When it comes to VoIP minutes, we have service across the globe. A to Z, we call it as all the countries, because our VoIP routes are legal routes, and we work with if it is UAE, we work with Etisalat or Du. If it is some other, if it is some other country, the major service provider there, through them the termination happens. So which is a very legal white route. So the VoIP minutes are available for all the countries. The web calling is available, but based on regulations at particular countries, it can get blocked.
Okay, I hope Immune, your question has been answered. The next question is coming from Mr. Bhupal. How is the reporting part of the system? Can we customize as per the requirement?
Yeah, we have standard reports. I think some of the dashboards that I showed you, we have some standard reports. There is a report, the way you can actually export all the reports from through a web browser. We can, if the existing reports are not sufficient, we could, depending on the requirement, we can customize some of the reports that your customer may require. We can discuss that because it depends on the amount of customization that is required. We can definitely discuss, yes, customization is possible.
Thank you. The next question comes from Mr. Pujay. Are the subscription on commercial features are one lifetime or renewable on a monthly or annual basis?
The features are one time. There is no, apart from our SLA, the service support, everything is a one-time cost.
Okay, all right.
The licenses are perpetual licenses, so it's not that we need to renew the license every year. No, it's perpetual.
Great.
No.
Great.
Okay. The next move on to next question from Mr. Peter. Which social media platform application can be supported by the astTECS system? Are there a license involved, and what is the cost?
Okay, social media integration is a different product by itself. We call it as the omni-channel. We have a different name for that. Yes, we can integrate social media platforms like you name it. I mean, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, some of the other platforms, WhatsApp, email integration, SMS integration. All this can be done. The cost involved on subscription basis, so we could give you pricing separately. I think
that is a separate product, as Vijay mentioned. We call it as an omni-channel, which has a calling also, which can be used. PBX feature also is inbuilt, but see, omni-channel is little more bigger application, right? As he mentioned, there are a set of social media channels which has to be integrated. So we have a beautiful product. We will be arranging another, because that product has gone through some enhancement. We will be arranging another webinar on omni-channel again. I think few months back we did it. We will be doing it because there are a lot of new participants in the webinar. To answer your question, yes, you can integrate. This will have separate cost, separate. That is a different product and different costing, right? Yes, I hope that is answered.
Yeah. The next question is from Mr. Damola. He asks, can you please provide the cost of this feature so that we can give a client idea about the initial investment? Maybe that we can connect after the presentations as well. What do you say, Binish?
Yeah, so can you please provide the cost of this feature? So yes, Damola, surely the salesperson in charge will get in touch with you, because this costing depends on multiple parameters. There is nothing like a off-the-shelf pricing. So the solution team will discuss with you to understand the requirement, and accordingly they will give you the commercials. But rest assured, the prices will be much competitive compared to any solutions which is available in the market.
The next question is from Mr. Shibu. Can you share the detail of this presentation? Surely Mr. Shibu will be sharing all the webinar recordings after the session through your emails. So you can access the presentation as well. The next question is from Iona. Please, can we have access to the documentation on public address system integrations?
Yeah, Emion, sure. See, there is no documentation as such. The paging, we call it as paging or a public addressing system, is a feature with our IP PBX. It's a simple requirement is that you just need to have IP speakers or the traditional analog speakers where we need to have a small IP to analog converter, and you can page from your IP phones or from any extensions, right? We can discuss more about the architecture, all these things, maybe offline after this webinar. We can connect again with the respective salesperson. Yeah, so we will help you to understand in a much better way how this paging can work and what are its applications and which industry we can target.
I think I like the next question from Moses Bolaji. It says that what makes this product better than Avaya? I mean, I want to ask a counter question. What makes Avaya a better product than astTECS? I mean, that's how I'd like to look at it. I think we can offer feature to feature. We can offer most of the things that Avaya is offering. So we can have a one-on-one discussion as to what exactly customers are looking for. And I'm sure we can do better than Avaya. If not do better, we can be able to match all the features at a much competitive price. And what else does the customer need?
Okay, maybe to Moses, a few specific points. See, the Avaya is a long-term player in the market in the proprietary field, and the major difference is that they are a proprietary licensed product. We can see recently a lot of companies are coming and approaching us to implement open source solution because Avaya yearly license is very costly, right? You have to pay a license, yearly license to them. All the features are licensed. So that's the major difference. Our products comes with perpetual license. That leads to very low cost of ownership. The third one is that very low cost of operational cost. The support costs are much lesser. Very flexible to customize. Avaya, Cisco, all these bigger brands will not customize to customer unless until you are a $1 million customer for them. But because our platform is an open source, we can customize customer to customer based on his requirement. We can integrate with their applications customer to customer. The bigger companies, they will give you a set of document worth 300, 400 pages and you read it and you do your integrations. They will not put their hand. If you need their support, again, you may end up burning your pocket very deep. So these are major difference. We are an open source strong brand which is getting popular, very cost effective, very feature rich. Any feature which is available, Avaya, as Vijay mentioned, is available with our solution. If it is not available, we'll make it available tomorrow. So that is the beauty. Okay.
Okay, I think he has a further question. How scalable is it?
The
is
product
it a one-time license?
Yeah. So so it is scalable. We were mentioning that, Mr. Moses, it is scalable. And see, this is an IP PBX. When we say this is a pure IP PBX, the core is IP. The hardware is just the capacity that it determines. For example, you bought a 1000 extension IP PBX. There is a hardware sized for 1000 users with call recording, concurrent calls, everything. And tomorrow you wanted to upgrade that to a 2000 users. Then there is an hardware upgradation or a clustering architecture which we will be doing it. So you can cluster, you can upgrade to any levels, just upgrading the hardware and adding more hardwares, right? Improving or increasing the capacity of the hardware. So it is that scalable. So there is no limit to it can scale. Okay, we will just have to improve the hardware and it keeps scaling. And is the product one-time license? Yes, it is one-time license. Let me repeat again. You have one more question. I will just go through that. There is something of concern as per reporting of VoIP solution. Is your reporting robust compared to other providers? Okay, so you can explore it. See, the beauty is that we have a set of reports, and these reports are evolved based on customer feedback. As I mentioned, we do a lot of customizations. So we have done a lot of report customizations last 13 years based on customer feedback. Now customer needs, for example, customer A needs a particular report on which we will customize. That report will be available by default tomorrow for the second customer, right? So we have done set of reports. I cannot even remember how many reports we may be having, but end of the day, each of our customer, it is our experience that they may be using maximum 4 to 5 or 3 to 4 reports only, right? The reports can vary, right? They will different format or different figures has to be there in those reports. So to answer your question, we have set of reports. You can explore it. If that is not sufficient, we can customize it. We believe our reports are robust because it's evolved last 13 years based on customer feedback.
I hope, Moses, your queries been answered, or is there any further questions you have?
I think Damole asked one more question. Are the VoIP speakers for the paging system available? If yes, kindly. Okay. Damola, right? Sorry. Damola, yes, it is. It's SIP speakers. We call it as SIP speakers or IP speakers. It is available. I think we will. I hope that you may have some active requirement with you. That's why you are asking very specific questions and costing. After this webinar, we will be connecting with you to understand your requirement, and accordingly we will provide you with the costing. And Moses has said it's fine. So thank you, Moses. Thank you, Damola. Firdausi, over to you.
Yeah, I think we have attended almost all the questions. If anybody has any further query, you can just unmute yourself and ask the questions before we wrap up.
Anybody have any questions? Feel free to come online to discuss. So this is a session where we make it interactive, and those who wanted to stay back can stay back. Those who wanted to leave can leave. If any questions, we will be still available online some more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, okay, Mr. Chinnappa Shivakumar just say a nice informative webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Chinnappa. And we will be coming up with another exciting topic for the next webinar. And I think this is the end of today's webinar. I once again thank you all the participants for joining today and making this webinar a successful one. We will be sharing the recordings and the presentations over the emails. And yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yes, please don't forget to share the different prices of the product.
Sure, we will be sharing your webinar and the presentations over your email. You can check your inbox by tomorrow itself. We'll be sending you the presentation and the webinar recording. Till then, we'll be leaving you, and you'll come back with another topic by next month. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.